Hello, my name is Matt Puckett. This is my video assignment number 1 for PH1900, Philosophy and Critical Thinking. Today I will spend a few minutes discussing some issues that were brought up by author J.P. Moreland regarding the rise of anti-intellectualism that has impacted the church. And we will focus on two specific issues. The first issue is the spawning of an irrelevant gospel. Now, what this means is over the past few centuries, we have seen a trend where the church has begun to put such a focus on the spiritual and the emotional aspect of the faith that they have begun to ignore matters of the mind, such as philosophy, critical thinking, and apologetics. And an example of this is the revival movements of the late 1800s and early 1900s. There was a huge emphasis that was placed solely on the spiritual development of new converts. In the revivals, you would have them attempt to have an experience or an encounter with Christ. And to follow that up, there was not a lot of development of the mind. New disciples were not being taught apologetics, nor were they being taught what it is to apply the Bible and the Christian faith to issues of the mind. And as the world itself has become more secular, this has led to a problem in which we have now developed large aspects of the church that cannot logically address issues that are not specifically mentioned in the Bible. Not a lot of emphasis is still placed on apologetics nor critical thinking. Young children and teenagers are being taught what the Bible says about living the Christian life and about living following the faith, but they're not really spending much time developing an apologetical mind or a sound form of doctrine that you can address. And this has negatively affected the gospel in terms of the secular world looks at us now and they only see a spiritual solution that we offer. Many times they will say that the gospel offers salvation, it offers spiritual good feelings, but it's not much good in helping issues such as world hunger, war, conflict, oppression, slavery. And Christians themselves are not exactly sure how to address those issues. And so many people in the secular world who are becoming more and more socially conscious of social issues such as the ones that I've mentioned look at Christianity and all they see is people that are having a spiritual experience and not really addressing those specific issues, and they say to themselves, the gospel therefore must not be any good to the practical issues of life. The second issue is a loss of boldness in confronting the idea structures of our culture. On the same side of the coin, as the world begins to view the gospel as less practical in terms of dealing with the practical issues of the world, those in the church are starting to look at it are starting to realize that they themselves have not been prepared to address such things. If you put a believer in a discussion with an atheist or an agnostic, many times the believer has not been given what they need for a clear defense to show themselves the practicality of the Christian faith, the logicness of the Christian faith, as well as the practical applications of it. This is a huge problem in the church, and many times it ends up with Christians who walk away feeling that they have been defeated in a debate, and the lost person walks away feeling that the Christians are just no practical good to the real issues that are facing the world, such as world hunger, war, and oppression. What the church needs to do to fix this is to place a greater emphasis on the mind. The mind was a gift from God. All knowledge was given as a gift from God. And too many times we in the church view knowledge as something that is secular and evil, when not only do we need to be developing the spiritual habits into the next generation, such as Bible study and a close personal walk with Christ, but we need to teach them apologetics. We need to teach them how to use their mind to think outside of the box and to approach problems logically. We need to show them that there are practical things in the Bible that can be applied to issues that are going on in the world. And our goal needs to be to have the same mindset that the early church, well, not the early church, but the church of several centuries ago, such as William Wilberforce, who, to them, the gospel was not just there for the spiritual healing and renewal of people, it was there to make a better world. And this emphasis on the practicality of it allowed great men like William Wilberforce to engage politically and socially with issues that were going on, and eventually led to great changes for the benefit of society, such as the abolition of the British slave trade. The church needs to place a greater emphasis by doing classes on apologetics. When a new person is converted to the faith, they need to be put in an intense discipleship program to teach them how to think and to defend their faith, such as Peter has said in the Word.